Okay. It's been a pretty long time since I've done pretty much anything for a video without a script, so this is probably gonna go off the rails very quickly, but this is my editing suite. This in particular, this is the file for Pirate Mode Engaged. Everything's here. I've got everything I ever added to the project and all of my original notes as well. So I thought it'd be fun to sort of do a behind the scenes video on Pirate Mode Engaged 2. It's one of the largest workloads I've ever had for a project, so I just figured it'd be fun to tell you some of the less finished product type stuff that went into production of this. And there's a lot too. There's a lot of stuff that went wrong in the making of this project. First of all, I just want to put it into perspective. This is of course the iconic sitar guy dancing scene, but there are so many clips just in my playlist of stuff from this video. I've got 161 total clips that went into making this video. That's over 150 clips. That's more than I've ever done before. I think they're all used too. Even though I have 5 shots of the Epcot ball, I used every single one of them in the video. That's not even counting all the green screen effects I did or all of the images I put into it. But there was a lot that went into this project. Now, I'm sure you can probably tell. So, yeah, the reason this note's here, add in something like the prelude here and put appropriate images for Crunky Joe's narration. If you couldn't tell from the fact that I kind of went back to my random association image-based type deal, I did this part of the video dead last. The entire part where we're at Disney, that whole meat of the video, I did all of that first pretty much. And for the longest time, I just had Be More Pirate here and nothing else. It turned out really well, especially this part, which I put in really last minute.
Pirate attitudes from the frozen wastelands of our home all the way into the gates of the House of Mouse.
I did a lot of keyframing for this video, so this part where I basically just had to make it move in a line from Buffalo to Orlando, that was really, really easy to do, and it turned out to be a really fun bit where I could sneak Bosun Bill back in there from the original. See, the thing about my editor is I can't actually have text fade in or rotate independently of itself. If you look here on this clip, it's a solid clip. There's no text changes, so every single one of these text boxes is actually, if I go into the filters here, is actually a 1920x1080 black screen that I then used chroma key to filter out the black and then put text over, so that way I could fade it in and out over the video independently. So you can see if I deactivate the chroma key filter, it's literally just a black background with text over it that I then put onto the larger background. It's pretty annoying. If Shotcut's watching this, you guys should change that up, but yeah, no complaints. Now, the voyage is pretty basic, but this scene here. Now, I'm gonna play this out. Pay attention to the windows of the bus, like right here. I don't know how noticeable it really is, but if you look real close, there are people doing the dance on the bus. Not everybody was off the bus for this part, and yeah, that's a whole nother thing, but if you look close enough, people are there doing it. Let me just enhance real quick. See, like right here, there's a guy doing it. Over here, over yonder. Maybe not over there, but definitely over here. So that definitive arm swing, you can tell it's a person doing it. This is a nice place to come back to, because this part here where he runs in, that's Clint McBooty right there. That was completely unplanned. We just kind of kept doing it because as we started, we saw him come out of the Wendy's where we were stopping, and he just dead sprinted across the parking lot. Looked like, I wish I had a video of it. He looked like Officer Earl when he's swinging his arms. he was going fast, and he just sort of came in and launched right into it. Now, this part 2 in particular, I do want to call attention to the fact everybody's kind of got their own different style of doing the dance, and that's part of what I love about it, is that it's an infinitely interpretable dance. If you watch me, I've been doing this forever, so I know exactly how to do it. I swing my arms really hard. I hadn't quite mastered the side to side yet, because I didn't know what everyone's deal was, but if you look over to my left, the pirate beer, he kind of does, like, he turns on his feet, he lifts it up a little bit. That only becomes more prominent. This guy right here, Jake, he does, like, a stomp early on. As you can tell, it leads to him totally being out of sync. It's just too much for this little tiny ape brain to process. This guy right here, he's always so happy to be doing it, but he's got his shoulders real low. I can't really comprehend how he does it with his shoulders so low. Like, it almost looks like his shoulder blades are like disconnecting from his spine, and he's just trying, it's like he has to fight to keep his arms up. I don't get it. And then of course, this guy, he's a rather large guy, if you haven't noticed. He really was the guy who got like the sway going, where we consistently move from side to side, but he doesn't even cross his arms for the first little bit. He sort of meets in the middle, and then now there's the whole new thing. You can see it's much more prominent in the way he does the step, and No Beard's always just so happy to be doing it. Like, he doesn't really have a foot movement though. You can see he's trying a little bit, but that sort of gets beaten out of him real quick. Doesn't move at all.
Or just
Yeah. We got this one girl, Leah, to record a few shots for us. She was not happy to do it at all, but, you know, always there when we needed her to be, so it just kind of worked out like that. The shot at Shoney's was fun. I feel like this is sort of where everyone sort of started to get into, like, a groove here. You can see we're not quite in sync yet, but everyone sort of got the basic style of the dance down, and that everyone's fully crossing their arms, everyone's more or less on the same tempo. It's sort of my favorite thing to do with this video is if you just watch one guy throughout the video, it's different than if you're watching everybody. Like, if you see this guy on the side, he's more on beat than the rest of us, but then if you watch this cluster here, all three of them are more or less in sync, but none of us as a whole are in sync, but clusters of us become in sync with each other, because it's a really... We had to do these fast for this part of the trip. The part where we're going up on the bus, we had to do these fast, and I mean, like, really fast. This is where we stopped for breakfast, so by the time we're outside, by this sign, ready to do it, people are already like, guys, come on, we gotta leave. Yeah, people were not happy with us. The chaperones, less so, honestly. It was more the other people on the trip. From the Marvel Adventure Lab at Disney, if you paid $6 whole, you could get one of these, and I got 3 of them for a total of $18. Welcome to the Disney Monopoly. We got all the classic images you see there. We got this guy. We got this guy. This guy's still my favorite. Look at that. Look at the resemblance. You see it, right? Like, I am Venom. And you are mine. The bus part mask is in severe need of a rework, as I have accidentally effed it up real bad. I remember this. I had to slightly change the length of this clip, and as a result, it completely ruined a mask of the bus I had to do. Now, this part, as you can probably tell, took me several hours to perfect. The penguins... my shaky camera hand is my worst enemy, so... It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible how shaky my camera hand is. And if you ever want to just truly experience suffering, try keyframing something on a shaky camera hand and having it look good. I'll go into my keyframes here just to make it clear. I have so many keyframes that were just dedicated to keeping the penguins in one spot. Not on my chroma key, though. Literally, look at that. Every single one of these keyframes is just dedicated to keeping them there. That's how shaky my camera hand is. There's probably at least 100 of them right here, if not more. And then Thanos on the bus was a whole nother disaster. I really wanted to add that because I thought it'd be really funny. I really am proud of how it turned out. And surprisingly, it's much easier to keep Thanos on a bus than it is to keep the penguins in one spot, because look at the difference in keyframes. There's still a lot, but this is still the same scale factor. There's a dramatically lower amount. Now, the big thing though is, how do you make Thanos appear outside the bus when this big ass part is in my frame? Well, I cut out the individual model of the bus. I still have it here somewhere. Let me find it. I just took an individual render of this part of the bus and I layered it on top of the already existing video, and I keyframed that too. You can see here it's sort of a mix of the penguin amount of keyframes and the Thanos amount of keyframes. Oh, actually, no, it's much more like the penguin amount of keyframes. I grossly misremembered how much I had to add for this part. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, that's even worse than the penguins, actually. Oh my Jesus Christ. I don't even remember how hard I had to work on this part. I've blocked the memories out. If you do look at this pillar here really closely, you can see where there's some inevitable cracks in my editing, because I'm not perfect at the end of the day. You can kind of see too there. Once it comes in, there's sort of a little bit of the sky that comes with it. It's not perfect. I can't be perfect all the time, but for what it's worth, it's like a 3-second clip. It's barely noticeable, and for all intents and purposes, it works pretty well. By comparison, these shots of like the Florida sign and the Disney sign with the dancing skeletons, that took probably like an eighth as long as this part took me. If you just copy and paste this clip after it has keyframes applied onto this one, the keyframes still carry over. So I just had to have another size and position filter where I just moved it to the side a little bit and everything was perfect. It saved me so much work. In case you didn't catch this, it says pirate clothing change. We smelt of death and butt. Because we did. Because we were on a bus for 2 days. 2 whole days we spent on this bus. And this is where I'm gonna leave it here before I explain this. Now, I was not well on this trip. Now, I came down with a little something. I don't know where. I don't know when, if it was before or on the bus or at Disney. But I came down with a little case of the Coxsackie virus. And I know that sounds like a really on-the-nose name for an STD, but it is not. Now, what the Coxsackie virus is more commonly known as is hand, foot, and mouth disease. And what hand, foot, and mouth disease commonly applies to is children between ages like 2 and 6. How I got it, I don't know. But it really focused on the mouth, and in particular the throat. Now, I was smart. I brought 24 capsules of Advil on this trip with me, all documented, of course. I'm not confessing to having possession of illegal Advil or anything. I'm probably going to cut this part out. I had to use every single one of those pills on the duration of this trip, because by the time we had actually gotten to Disney, the pain was ramping up to the point where I was like, oh, something's wrong here. I had noticed it on the bus. I credited it to the scratchy throats. I had eaten some spicy nacho Pringles. Very much recommend, by the way. They were the bomb on the bus. So, throat was scratchy, did not feel great. I figured it was fine. I threw up a couple times. I threw up once at the hotel room. I threw up another time pretty much after I got home, so that doesn't really count. But other than that, I was fine, except for the fact that it was agony. Every living, waking second of the trip past like the second day was agonizing. I tell you. The throat got really bad after Animal Kingdom, like to the point where like I felt as if like I might have strep. I could still talk, I could still drink to a degree, but it was getting bad. On the last part of the trip, so hold on. Right about here, the last part of the Star Wars bit. Now, it was so hard for me to shoot this shot. You can maybe see a little on my face. It was so hard for me to shoot this shot because I was just in the most agony I feel like I've ever been in. Because I had like no medication. I had no way of knowing what exactly I had. It could have been like a bacterial infection. I was dying. I didn't know. So you can see on my face, it was really hard for me to just be like, yeah, guys, let's make another silly pirate shot for Pirate Mode Engage 2. I'm smiling, but my eyes are kind of creepy. Oh my god. Look at this. I have like a goat face. I really regret zooming in on this image. But yeah, that's a fun little tidbit, is that as the main organizer of the whole thing, and as like the guy who was like supposed to keep everybody engaged on topic, I got severely ill over the course of this trip. So that was fun. That was just a real fun time. This part was great. We filmed this in front of the Fantasia like magic hat. It was all this guy's idea, but it synced up really well with the music, even though I didn't plan for it to. The part where we all are sort of just bopping left and right, it does have the unfortunate result that you can't see most of us. At least one of us are not visible at any given time during this whole scene, but it did work out well. This part was a shot we were planning to do at a gas station at like no, it wasn't a gas station, like a rest stop at like 2 a.m. because the only time we stopped on this trip was at like the ungodly hours of the morning. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point, okay? That's not the point here. That's besides the point. I go into position, I clap, and then I go back and give up because it sucked. Now, if this had not happened, what would have happened instead was this. It just would have been a continuation of the previous clip. I didn't feel like it fit, however, though. It's a significant change in the music, and I figured it should be accompanied by something else. However, I didn't have any more pirates shots for this. So I just used what I had here. I sped it up so it fit the amount of time. I wanted to keep the pool shot here because if you haven't already, just watch me. Perfect synchronization. I think it's the only time in the video where any one of us matches perfectly to the music. And then there's this. Oh my god. Even though me and the pirate beer start waving for the clip to end, and it ends right there. That's the end of the clip. It's a perfect length of clip. It ends right after that. This is my favorite part of the whole video. It's just the way the music lines up and how the way I have the text come in, and it's the pirate font. I love it. It's so much fun. I put in the notes, I still have it here, something along the lines of, the pirates have entered the water, and that's exactly what I did. Sometimes I am just too much of a genius. The pirates then swam for some time. We had a fun time. Basically, some of the other members of the band, they had a ball, and there's so much fun you can have in a pool with a ball. Don't take that out of context. We played keep away. At times, it felt like everyone was just sort of trying not to drown. It was a great time. The most fun parts of this trip were kind of omitted because the times we were doing piracy actually were some of the least fun parts of the trip for some of us, but you know, it came into a great product. So yeah. So the bagpipe part, it's funny. I have a note here, put a bagpipe PNG over this, and that's exactly what I went with. It was a lot harder to get right than I thought it was. Now, the sound down here, the sound bar, that illustrates like when parts of the music are happening for me usually, was not clear. Like, you can't differentiate when each bagpipe hit happened, so I sort of had to play it by ear, which is hard when you're editing because of how sound lag works, but I'm pretty sure that particular part was like the 4th or 5th rendition I did of it overall, where I would just start over. I feel like it would have been way easier if I just put a static image of him in this position, but that wouldn't have been editing style, would it have been? And then here's my second favorite shot of the whole thing. It works really well. The Pirates of the Caribbean pinball machine, we just found that it's a pog and then like it's a swipe blur transition. I just swiped the camera back around, but that turned to be a absolutely stellar way to do like a fade transition into the next scene. It's just so much fun, man, and Once again, that perfect sync. I can't get over perfect syncs in these videos. It's so much fun when you pull one off. Because, like, just... Man, I tell ya, we could only fit him in this shot, but he's the piratiest of them all. So, you know, it's only fair. And then this part. This part, I'm I wish we'd done more sketch type stuff, because when we do, it's really fun, especially how well they incorporated the dance. This is of course when Jackson gets introduced, and you can just see how much fun he's having doing this. That amount of fun is none fun. He's having no fun at all. It's one of the only times he actually does do the dance, though, is right here. There's another shot I have. It's an alternate shot somewhere around here. Yeah, he was originally supposed to be in the Expedition Everest one, but he just had absolutely no enthusiasm for it at all. He just did not want to be there, and so I just was like, you know, you don't have to be in there. It's fine. Oh my god, I've watched this clip over and over, and I've just marveled at it. I have such a good, like, lower body. From the hips down, you could mistake me for, like, some kind of very attractive person. I don't know. And then you know, my face comes up and my unashamedly unshaved armpits, and you're like, oh well, never mind. And then me and him right there, we fully collide is what happens there. Like, if you watch, that is a full collision right there. But we keep going. He was introducing a piece here, which is why he's at the microphone, but I found it would be way funnier to just have him say something stupid like these and then it's just applause. I don't do any of the other performance. I don't do the performance at all, even though we actually do play the music from Pirates of the Caribbean as part of this performance. I cut it out just for a D's nuts joke, so you're welcome. This part is probably the most creative dance we do the whole time. Maybe besides the pool scene, is we go into the dressing room, we come out, we're wearing different clothes, and we've picked up 2 more people. It's awesome. Yeah, in case you didn't catch this, because I know I put my text too fast, pirate clothing change number 2, it was very hot and the clothes are very fancy. And then after that very short break, we come back out, we're all now instead of wearing our matching concert dress, we're wearing our matching symphonic band t-shirts, come out in succession, almost on time to the music, and then he just... I love the little version he does. He's like, should I still be doing it? I don't know. I just recorded these monkeys for like a considerable amount of time. Our original plan was to like do it in front of the monkeys, but it turns out other people also like monkeys because there were a bunch of people there, so we could only get this. Some shots were done on other people's phones. Most of them were done on mine. This one, I believe, is Rack Sparrow's phone for most of the alternate shots. I want to point out here, this one was shot on my phone. This one was shot on his phone. This one was shot on my... This one was shot on my phone. This one was shot on his phone. Now, sometimes my phone gives crystal clear quality videos where I have nothing to complain. And sometimes they turn out blurry messes. Again, this one on my phone, this one on his phone. Do you see the difference there? Hold on, I'm gonna pick my nose. Ugh. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Nose pick pog. Yeah. Anyway, do you see the difference in quality? That's my phone, that's his. Remember that. There's just a few shots in this that are absolutely beautiful, and all of them were recorded on his phone. I really like this face here. Look at him. He's just... I can't tell what emotion he's feeling, but it is a powerful one. You know, I do the pirate dance in front of the sitar guy, then once the cameras are done rolling, or so I thought, I start... You know, I'm picking up what he's putting down. So, I start... dancing along. I'm finding a groove here. Now, Bryce recorded this without my knowledge, and I'm so glad that he did, because it's probably, my mom thinks it's the funniest part of the whole video. Now here, I have a marker. Hello. Decide whether or not to clarify if I know the guy or not. Okay, yeah. I don't know this guy. In case you couldn't tell from the fact that he appears nowhere else and just sort of seems to be randomly there. Yeah, this guy came up to me. He just sort of appeared there. We do a little bit of a dance battle. The beginning of my water bottle falling out of my backpack, which happens several more times, even when we're not doing the dance. And then it's not a sitar. It's not a sitar. This sound effect is actually the last note from a song from Inscription, but it's close enough. Because the actual way the clip ends is the song sort of just ends, but we keep dancing, so it looks really weird. Oh, yeah. Try to fix this transition without breaking the entire video again. While I was adjusting for the beginning, what you have to understand is in my editor, moving stuff around en masse is a total pain. Every time I try to use this filter, which if you move one thing, everything moves with it. That breaks all the time. Sometimes my videos will mesh into one another. It's a whole mess. So this transition here, where it goes from the monkey clip to this clip, for a time, that was entirely broken, and I had to like loop the clip back over itself because I tried to move something en masse. So that's the story behind that. Also maybe change how the video part of this sketch ends. Yes, I'm very glad I added the thunder type deal with the brightness and the contrast, because originally how it was supposed to go was just it would just the critical. This wasn't even here. The original way it would go is just the critical crouton. It just ended. So as you can tell, that way is kind of boring. But if you add all of this keyframing and stuff, the critical. Now it is awesome, is what it is. So you know, there's two alternate versions of this. I like how this one ended more, which is why I used it. So this one also.
The map. Atlantis.
Money. You're making some gold.
I like how you can see everybody much more clearly in that version.
Atlantis.
Money. You're making some gold.
Plus, I actually say yarg instead of just saying the map twice after he says it the first time. So that's fun. But I also, for some reason, the pirate, he decides to do like a Scottish accent, and I don't get it.
You're making some gold.
It's bizarre, but I liked how this one ended more. I used no beard for that's a pause. I used no beard for several of the transitions in this one. You knew that already if you watched the video, but he just a lot of times I tended to just point the camera at him and he just do something. So it was easy to use him for transitions. So I'm sure you noticed though, or maybe you didn't, that right here he has a hat. He has a hat. I'm still wearing this. None of them have hats at all. Now in the next clip, we all have hats. Now, there's a story behind this, and the story is that at one point, the Pirate Beer and No Beard both split off from the group. They went and they said, we're gonna shop around a little bit. We'll meet you at the rendezvous. They came back. They said, we got hats. Now, I fell in love with these hats at first sight, and I was like, where did you get these hats? And they said, oh, it's all the way on the other side of the park. The chaperones were late, so we basically what we did was we just hightailed it. We sprinted all the way to the other end of the park. All of us bought like identical hats, and then we sprinted all the way back just in time to make the rendezvous. It was awesome. We don't have any footage of it or anything because we were sprinting too fast for anyone to take out their phones, but that's how the story goes. They were the first to get the hats, then we all got the hats. Yeah, we were supposed to do a bit where we sort of did a more jazzy type move, something sort of like this. Yeah, Clint McBooty came up with that one. And I would say at the top something in some kind of jazzy font like the pirates have acquired hats. But, you know, we never did that. We never actually did that. You can start to see here, it was a cloudy day, so the color seems really washed out and it's blurry. I don't know why this happened to my phone that day, but it just kind of did. But now, this is the first time I ever had to use this filter. It's the sharpen filter. Basically what it does is, I'll show you. I turn it off, blurry. I turn it on, clarity. I'll pump it up to full so you can see. Clarity, blurry. Clarity, blurry. Now, this filter is not perfect, but essentially for like blurry stuff where you can't make out the clarity of our faces and the clarity of the stuff around us, it makes colors a little brighter, it makes blur a little less. It's like the opposite of like a Gaussian blur. It helps instead of harms. Now, I can't describe this for the life of me. This was recorded on my phone. This was recorded on my phone. That's the thing I don't get. This was mine. I have this on my phone still. Both of these were shot on my phone. So why does one look like UHD Color Max and this one looks like it was shot in the 1940s? I don't understand. Of course, that's the tradition that keeps up with my water bottle falling out. My backpack, I have it here. This pocket here. I would put my water bottle in there and I'd zip it up as much as I could. As much as I could was to about here. That's not enough. It would so frequently fall out that I eventually had to put it in the pocket of my cargo shorts, which worked much better, but, you know, it wouldn't have been as funny if I had it in my cargo shorts the whole time. You see me put it in there eventually. It happens. Again, this is another part where I use the sharpening filter. This is it without it. This is it with it on. It's a small difference, but it does make a difference. If I turn it up more, you can see. That's the unfortunate part. It has a really annoying tendency to really accentuate the color white. So everything becomes almost like glowing, or it's almost like a halftone type look. You can see it looks more like we're in like a comic book now if I turn it all the way up. This part's the only one where it really worked. You can see here, without sharpening, with sharpening. This one really turned down the blur, and I really appreciate that of the filter. Talking to my filters now. That's
Go.
Had a lot of fun with the mirrors here. I don't, for the life of me, understand what his problem was with just doing it into the mirror like everyone else. I don't know if he just didn't start on time and couldn't find the groove, or if he just wanted to be funny, but he turns around, and as usual, somehow perfectly lines up with the beat. I don't understand. I don't try to understand. I just do. And then a few more scenes, and then we were at one point. It just ended up that me, No Beard, and Rack Sparrow ended up in just a massive store. I don't understand why the store was so big, but it was so big you had to wait in line for it at Epcot. And we found this pirate Mickey Mouse. And when you're doing a pirate video and you find pirate Mickey Mouse in Disney, you already know what's going down. That's going down. And then, as usual, I turn the camera over to him, and he does something. It's just the irrefutable law of nature. Now this part really, it works. Sharpening on, sharpening off. Sharpening on, sharpening off. You can really tell in this part. And this part also. Sharpening on, sharpening off. Sharpening on, sharpening off. Yeah, it works really well. But what did I put here? What's this little tidbit of news for me? Determine whether sharpening these shots is actually necessary. As you can tell, I determined that it was. But, however, sharpening of these shots recorded on this guy's phone were not necessary, as you can tell by the beautiful cinematic quality level shots that he gets. But I get this. That's what happens when you record on my phone. Whenever the pirate beer, which is really hard to say, leads, it's slower. They just go slower. It's just what they do. I spent a lot of time on the notch for this part, but it sounds really good. It has a tendency when you use notch to sound like it's underwater instead of like distant. This one, it really sounds like it's inside the box with them. Anyway, this part with the Epcot ball and the penguins of Madagascar as ghosts. This is the first time I used like the ghosts instead of the solid objects. I did actually though, definitely redo the keyframes for the first part. Now, you'll see here, there's really no keyframes. They're just the dancing penguins of Madagascar on the bottom and top of the screen. But I did actually do all the work that it took and spent like 3 hours keyframing them to dance on top of the Epcot ball. I still have a rough cut of the video with that part still in, and I'll show you what it looks like right there. So the reason he's standing there for that, with his hands in his pockets looking like a gangster, is because... No more uhs. I'm not going to say anymore, okay? Anyway, the reason he's standing there is because he was supposed to do like a battle cry, and then we would start dancing. However, that part actually turned out very bad once we put it into practice. Here, I have it still. Definitely still have it. That's actually a higher quality it's a higher quality clip, but you can't see the Pirates of the Caribbean flag, so you can't actually see where we are, so we use this one instead. But when we started recording this one, he'd already done the cry before it even starts. So like, the only part we get is him running out of frame. So we just used it as it was. It's unfortunate, but it's just sort of how it goes. We tried to get as many shots like that as we could, where we would dance in front of like the roller coaster having the big drop. That is it turns out you can do that about twice in Disney, which is how many times we did it. I have something to say about the Tomorrowland Speedway, and that is that the Tomorrowland Speedway is absolutely the worst thing you can do in Disney. The cars are on these tracks, and you bump into the track, and it just go ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. You can't steer. The steering wheels just don't work. And then when you try to steer, you steer too hard, and then you run in to the track, and then you bounce back and forth. It's atrocious. You can only go like 3 miles per hour, so the only thing it's good for is getting shots for Pirate Mode Engage 2, and getting a big sign in front of it where you can do this, and then gesture at the sign, and then your water bottle falls out of your backpack, and it transitions into the Magic Kingdom castle with Ghost Thanoses. That's the only thing it's good for in the entire thing. Now, I want to talk about this one. Not about what happened, the castle shot, because that's fine. What happens here... I do like a wipe to a white screen, right? I don't do white screens often, but I have to this time because look. If I go frame by frame, the last frame of this video, it's almost perfectly white. Look at that. The only part you can still see is this part of its mouth. And it just, yeah. That wasn't even the very last frame. Okay, enhance. At the second to last frame, it's almost perfectly white. I don't know how that happened. I think it was the glare of the sun off of his teeth, but nobody's teeth are that white. Like, it just physically does not make sense to me. Like, look at my teeth. My teeth are not that white. My teeth are gross as hell. And just somehow he has perfectly white teeth that make it perfectly easy for me to do a transition into a white screen, which then fades out while Gaston fades in, and it gradually turns into an image of us dancing in front of Gaston's tavern at a slower pace to match the pace of the song Gaston. Incredible! It's incredible is what it is. Now, the thing I can't understand is if you look here, I'm doing something that looks like I'm pooping my pants. Whereas this guy somehow can do the perfect Gaston face. Like, I can't comprehend how this is... Look at it. Like, that is Gaston right there. In human form. He is taken an avatar and he will destroy the world. It's incredible. And then, of course, I have to put that scene from Gravity Falls and transition into the Rango suite and put Gaston is Misunderstood while me and the Jimmy No Beard do it at the stocks. And then we're at PhilharMagic. But you can't see it because Jackson didn't tell us that you can't see the sign. But it doesn't even matter because we're on to the next clip. And now it's Steam. Steam coming down from the top of the rocket ship while we dance in there. And there was also a child in there, but that's not important because now we're on the bridge. We're on the bridge and we're dancing on the bridge. And now we're in front of the Magic Kingdom castle. And also this guy. Maybe put a rainbow ghost dog. Or maybe don't. And guess what? I didn't put a rainbow ghost dog. So maybe I will put a rainbow ghost dog over this clip, and we'll see about how that turns out. Toy Story Land was fun. And by fun, I mean it was hell and anguish. The ride Slinky Dog Dash, seen here. You can't see the wait time, but it said 75 minutes when we came by. No, it said 45 minutes when we came by. We waited in that line for 3 hours, and the ride was pretty underwhelming, honestly. But any ride would be after you wait in line for it for like 3 hours. Maybe it was 2. I can't remember. It was way longer than the line said it was supposed to be, so either way. This part's fun. Now, many may think I just didn't put the redo in there to be me. Ah! Also, this scene was fun because remember Leah, who I mentioned before, she recorded some of the parts for us in the early parts. In this part, by some bizarre twist of circumstance, the person who recorded this was actually Leah's mom. And I don't understand why, I don't understand how, I don't understand why we were in the same place as Leah's mom at any point during this trip, but it just happened, and that's what happened. Now, here is the big part. We're trying to get another roller coaster shot, and there he is. He comes by, he says, "Hey man," takes a swig of his lemonade and keeps walking. He does not have a care in the world. Honestly, I'm really glad he did it, because it would have been a much less funny shot if he hadn't done it. Okay, what's the note here? Add org for, okay, nope, getting rid of that. No, we will never speak of that again. If you look at us, we are not playing anything even similar to Freebird, but somehow this really fast drum solo and his air drumming matched up so well and sounded so funny over the guitar solo that it's perfect. Nothing to say about this shot at all. Oh my god. That is a pause right there. Hold on. This part was actually recorded first, where he's just in front of the camera. But this part was recorded after, which of course explains why I had them put the lightsabers that they bought, because they're rich and they have so much money. I can't afford a lightsaber, but does anyone care about that? No, they have to show off because they have so much money. Sub Jeffrey Bezos. Now, this part I regret a little bit. I regret letting Rango Sweet hit like its big like drum hit while the Star Wars theme is playing. If I just had it be like this instead. Like, see, that works so much better. Or even less so, even just like this. You see? It works so much better that way. If I just had it be the way it was before. But instead I have to have... Instead there's that really big, really annoying hit where you can still tell the Rango Suite is playing. But the Star Wars part was fun. Didn't spend a whole lot of time there. However, you know what I did get in Star Wars Land? Soda! Obama. Soda! Obama. Soda! And you know what's fun about getting soda at Galaxy's Edge? Is that soda in Galaxy's Edge in those special bottles cost $6. So I spent $12 on those 2 sodas. You know how much soda $12 gets me outside of Disney? Like 6 bottles. 6 bottles of soda! I really wish we could have danced in front of this sign. But look at that, man. Bar none. Most beautiful shot in the entire video. And guess whose phone it was recorded on? Mine, actually. I don't understand why, but it was on my phone. This was on my phone. Can see other people in the band that made a surprise appearance on my video because I have little to no respect for anyone else's personal sense of privacy. Look at that sunset though, man. The reason I kept this going for so long instead of just cutting to my face was, well, see, the thing about Pirate Mode Engage is it's a lot different to make than it is to watch, in that we have no music at all for any of these shots. So if you wanna hear what it's like if you wanna see what it's like to record, it's more like this. It's muted, but like. So that's much less of like an experience than this is, right? Let's keep it going though. I didn't mute most of these, so like I'm really hungry. I gotta go make some chicken strips. So it's more like this.
Can we do that? No one told me what we... Jackson! Oh my god!
Oh my. This is so delightfully awkward. I didn't even expect this. I made this video and I didn't expect it to be this delightfully awkward. Oh my god. You know what? In the description of this video, there will be a link to just the entirety of Pirate Mode Engage 2 with no audio whatsoever. Can experience it as it was meant to be experienced, with absolutely no music. No, that's not true. But wow, that's even worse than I was expecting. And but yeah, basically, imagine like the entire. This is what it was like for every shot. You just saw that, but you know, this is what it was like every single time. This part, I never did this. It sounds crazy, but maybe add my own lyrics to be calmed for the trip home. I had an idea, like I'd write sort of like a thing about the trip to be calmed, and then I figured out Be Calmed already had lyrics, and then I remembered a very crucial detail, which is that I cannot sing for anything. The two last things you want to hear, though, are my voice singing and my voice singing this note. That ain't happening, dog. The part I sort of realize is the distance gets progressively less. We left at like close to dusk, right? So this part to this part's a significant amount of time. And from like early morning to like significant like sun in the sky was much less time. And then from like the mountains to like coming out of them, that's even less. And from this part to here is about the same amount of time, but then the distance from this shot and this shot is literally like less than a minute. And from this shot to this shot, even less. I think that's like 10 seconds. And then it's a bit longer from here to here, but after we turn into the school, it's literally like, it's second by second shots. Like these are, it just changes on the drum beat, and eventually, once you get here, there's no journey left to make. You're done. So like, the whole like journey's done. You hear the drum beat. I even made the cut to like cut to another part, but I don't need to, because like it's done. There's no more to do. We are finished with the journey in all respects. This part's bar none, I think. Maybe not my favorite, but the best shot of the video, because it perfectly conveys like the end. We're like, we've done this joke. We've done it for long and hard. I was super sick. We all like spent a lot of time doing this joke together, and now it's time for the joke to be over. So you can see, like, I'm the first one to stop. I'm sort of the leader of this whole thing, but you can see I like lose the energy in my swing, and then I stop altogether. I look around. It takes a while because we've been out of sync the whole video, of course. It takes a while, but eventually we all stop. There's like a handshake scene, and we all go our separate ways. It's how it has to be. It's all over.
Series you have just witnessed are events that took place caused many of our peers and ourselves pain. Good night, Yarge.
That though, that was completely unwarranted. I didn't ask him to do that. I didn't even suggest to anyone that they did that. He just walked right up and he starts giving a speech, and for some reason Drax Sparrow's going back into the school. I don't know what he was going to get, but it took him a while, because you can see here he disappears behind there. That's him behind the doors trying the other doors, but they're locked. Yeah. But it's an unscripted speech after just a beautiful moment that I made with everybody there. It was an absolutely incredible experience working with all of these guys. Like, it was probably the most fun I've ever had doing a video, because it was a video that I didn't work on alone. I edited it by myself, of course, as I always do. But like normally the videos I'm trying to make, I make by myself. Pirate Mode Engaged 1, I had a crew of 2 people, and the second person was my dad. So to have like 4 or 5 cameramen and like 8 principal cast members besides myself was a really just genuinely incredible experience. And I sort of captured that through this thank you here to the FHS band and my band director who planned the whole trip, worked super hard, that guy, and the chaperones and all the guys who helped me make this video. And then here I put, final scene still has to happen before the real credits. Yes, the reason I put this was because this final scene that you see, this actually happened over a month after I finished editing the video. Now, we took this trip in May. That is approaching like 2 months ago now when we took this trip. I recorded the Crunky Joe opening credits about a week before I made this. So basically, this just took a really long time. Now, the thing you have to understand about this part of the video with the Bosun Bill is that almost every audio I downloaded, I didn't have to boost it at all. Bosun Bill Remix is the opposite, in that it is so loud I actually had to decrease the volume. Like, look, even at -4 decibels, it's still so splittingly loud, and if I undo that, it's bar none the loudest raw audio file I've ever had to work with. It is so loud for no reason. But that's good, considering that here, for the final scene, the wind was super loud in the microphone of the camera because we were in a bad spot. But it's a recreation of the original Pirate Mode Engaged second scene where I run into the lake. But this time, I've got everybody here with me to do it. And you've seen this already. It's just a lot. I rip off my shirt. There's a lot to take apart in this scene. But, you know, there's a lot to take apart in anything. I'm sure you all noticed that in the original, how I'm walking up and then all of a sudden I'm just here and I'm just like, but I can't explain why. It goes from this to this to this to this to this to the, I can't explain to you for the life of me why. It just goes to a still image. The weirdest part too, if I just mute this here. The weirdest part, there's still audio, which means by all intents and purposes, this camera's still recording, but it's just a still image, and it doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense to me how that would possibly happen. I can't even, I don't know what it is. Like, I could try to BS it, but I can't. I don't know what it is. So, but it unfreezes at the perfect time for you to make the yard and then run back in. It's like I did it intentionally, which is so weird because I didn't. I guess I kind of undermined how heartfelt and genuine The Last Dance is by having us do another one like right here. But I do rather like this part where it's a fade out. Credits! Oh, hold on, I have to explain this actually. Walt's famous foot-long chili cheese dog. Does that sound good to you? It isn't. I say it all right there, but it's not good, okay? It's actually, like, really, really bad. I told you I threw up in the hotel room the first night. You may have thought this was because I was sick and I had hand, foot, and mouth. No, it's the chili dog. I fully accredit it to the chili dog. It was disgusting. The chili was bad. The hot dog was bad. The bun fell apart. It was too much hot dog for me to eat. It sucked. Let me explain. You all have seen the stinger. You know it's funny. He wasn't there, but he is here. Despite what I say here, which is that we did this shot a week ago. We did not. I actually did this shot 3 days before we did the actual final shot, because he told me 3 days before the final shot, hey, I actually can't go to the final shot. So I said, we're going right now, then. And we did. So, yeah. It just didn't work out. We couldn't have done it after because he wasn't in town. He was going somewhere. So, like, you know, it didn't work out. Behind the scenes, done, though. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. If you didn't enjoy it, feel free to tell me by making threats against my life or something. I don't really care. I'm on the internet. I'll see you guys next time. And did you know, actually... Yeah, I don't have a script for this. I don't have my crouton quip prepared. But the critical crouton lore, actually, if you didn't catch it in the last, in the description of Pirate Mode Engage, was appended. The critical crouton cannot be defined as myself, but rather that I am more of an avatar for the will of a theoretical being that merely manifests itself through croutons. And also, once again, did you know that croutons have real eyes? No, I'm not doing that bit again. Goodbye, subscribe, like, go watch Pirate Mode Engage 2, stop picking my nose, stop picking my nose, stop picking...